Tonight we have Tyriax,
Hello.
his first appearance here. We've got Weapon Gojira X, and we've got Explosive Roses, also
Hey
known
everybody.
as Pat. I'm Gavin Zalter, your kind of slapped together host for this cast. And tonight we'll be discussing our thoughts on what's been released so far on E3. And I've got to say, out of all the press conferences I've seen so far, Microsoft fucking stole.
By far.
Agreed. Stole the show.
I
mean, they always have a good
Sony's
one,
gonna be hard
but
pressed
man,
to
this year is
to beat
fucking
it.
insane. One of my favorite parts about what they
I missed
was,
I missed the Microsoft one. So besides the reveal that Project Scorpio is now Xbox One
another Xbox
X.
One.
Some ass fucking name. I
It's
swear
just
to God.
another Xbox One. I was
Right before
expecting a new
E3,
system.
apparently Jeff Keighley, for one, people were angry at him that he took a poll and like 10,000 people replied saying that they feel that the Xbox One Scorpio or X now was going to be $500. Apparently, there is somewhere is asking for support to sue him because of that. And apparently, one of the rumors.
What?
Yes, yeah, I saw it briefly. And also, apparently, one of the rumors was one of the leading names that was rumored for the Xbox One X was Xbox One.
Oh,
Better than X, or it's not as not X is so much better than that.
so basically, it boils down to the internet making a bunch of assumptions or reading too much into very little information and getting pissed off when their assumptions aren't correct.
Yeah, it's basically like
Yeah.
if my expectations aren't met to the exact, like right on the nail, then I'm going to be fucking mad about it.
I was a little annoyed
People
with
need to shut up and sit
The
down.
Jeff Keighley thing is just internet people just being angry about nothing because it's like he
Yeah.
took a poll of like at least 10,000 plus people and he's like, yeah, I'm pretty certain that this is the price going based off of what like these 10,000 plus people think. So
I was a little annoyed with the reveal because I expected a whole new fucking console, not just another Xbox One. I was thinking like, oh, this is gonna be a new console. This is gonna be their next big thing. No, it's just another Xbox One.
In theory, or not in theory, but in reality, though, it technically is a brand new console.
It is a very different machine.
They
It is.
designed
Under the
motherboard
hood, it is
around
nothing
the
like the
GPU.
Xbox One.
Yeah, it's completely standalone. It's something unlike we have ever seen before.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
I
for the
get that.
first time ever, we've got liquid cooling in a console because this thing is so powerful.
Yeah.
Pretty freaking good.
My only fear was kind of like what Joker was mentioning before, is that we've got all this raw processing power. If they didn't design the motherboard's architecture just right, we may have a repeat of what we had with the 360. We've got much more power, much more compact, in a way smaller size. Unless it's ventilated properly and that liquid cooling really pulls through, we could have another 360.
And I mean, the optimist in me would hope that they learned from that mistake and designed that flaw out.
Mm-hmm.
We really hope so.
But there's also, they should have done that in the first place with the 360 to begin with too. So, and that didn't happen. So,
I think what was it? Phantom had mentioned a time or once or twice before that there was like just lawsuits piled up on Xbox or Microsoft because of the X-clamp failure in the 360, and they basically had to vow to never let that happen again.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend who literally got the Red Ring of Death. Microsoft was like, okay, here's a box and a shipping label. Send it to us. We'll take care of it. He got it back. The new one that they gave him, red ringed. Like, he went through that like 3 or 4 times. Like, that should never have happened. I know that's probably an extreme for him personally, but in the first place. So to have such a console happening, because pretty much I'm going based off of memory here and talking out of my ass a bit, but I don't think that's happened with any video game console before. That was never heard of with the NES, the SNES, any of the
and that's kind of
the Sega.
That's kind of the thing, is that we could say like they should have done that. They should have known better with the Xbox 360. But the point is they're learning from their mistakes. The Xbox 360 was their big fuck up, and they're moving on from that now. So we can hope that the cooling system actually works this time.
One good thing I will say about the Xbox's failures is there was a lot of people where if you weren't afraid to open it up, you could make a killing by going to the hardware store, getting a few washers and some thermal paste, and X-clamp modding Xboxes that have red ringed, and either fixing them for your friends for a set amount of dollars, or just buying them online, like in bulk from eBay, and selling them for half retail price. I had a friend who made hundreds of dollars off of just fixing their garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I would hope that Microsoft learned from it, just like Sony learned with the PlayStation 4. I mean, they learned from the PS3 that it was help on that, and they bent over backwards to make it a better console for developers to work on. So I would hope that Microsoft would want that, because at the end of the day, I don't want Microsoft or Sony to win. I don't want a zero-sum game. I want both of them to be winning with their consoles and games, because that's going to result in much better consoles and games for us as consumers.
I know it'll be a while before I get a 4K TV to actually see everything that this machine can do, but I am absolutely thrilled for some of the titles that they've got.
Oh, yes.
They came out and released 42 different titles. That's just
there was so many releases.
Even then, it's not even just the new titles. Minecraft is getting an absolute overhaul for Xbox. Like, they're talking 4K graphics.
The other thing that the other thing that I was impressed on is new games developed for the One X. Previous Xbox One games are going to they can benefit from that. And on top of that, Microsoft is throwing in their original Xbox backwards compatibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, going back all the way to there is impressive.
That's going on like that's going across Xbox too. That's not just going on the X. At least I don't think. From what I heard, that's going on all Xbox One. Yeah, that's just overall on the Xbox platform. And I have to say, that's quite impressive, because as much as I love my PlayStation 4, I think it is completely bullshit that I can't play PlayStation 3 games on my PS4. I mean, there's got to be a way.
Yeah, it's a huge step forwards in backwards compatibility. It's really good to see.
Yep.
And I mean, I was sitting here like right before the Microsoft press conference. I'm sitting here talking to Panda about, I'm in fear that my 360 is going to lose support, and they're not going to be really working on the backwards compatibility because they're moving forward so much. And then they just peeled my brain right out of my skull with that reveal. Like, I mean, that is definitely dedication to your fan base when you're opening up more and more of your back catalog. I mean, that's literally like a play out of Nintendo right there.
Yep.
Because they're always like, we're not that great. But they literally made like everything in their back catalog practically work digitally for those consoles, and they're doing the same thing for the Switch.
Yep.
Yeah, considering that Microsoft are doing that, plus they've put forward statements saying they're open to cross-platform play with like Sony and Nintendo and all that, they're becoming like the most open company towards their fan base as far as the big ones are concerned. It's fantastic.
And to see a company doing that, it because you hear every developer and every console creator, PC, whatever it might be, you hear them say, well, we're listening to the fans. We're listening to the fans. This is the first time that we've seen somebody put their money where their mouth is to this degree.
Yeah. I mean, this I think is proving to me more and more that Phil Spencer was the right person to put in charge of the Xbox division.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
I think we're now, because we really didn't see that much change previously, I think we're now finally seeing what he's doing to change the direction of the ship, essentially, because he had to probably do a lot of things behind the scenes that couldn't be revealed yet. And now this is an E3 where we're starting to see some of that.
Yeah, the curtain is ripped open.
Yeah. Who knows what the E3 of 2018 Microsoft will be revealing.
That's going to be insane. If it's going to be anywhere near this one, it's, I mean, 2018 with the advances they're making is just going to be ridiculous.
I mean, it's hard to think that far ahead considering we have E3 2017 going on
right now.
I mean, last year Sony kind of took it, with the PS and the PS Pro and all their plans, and Microsoft was just kind of sitting on their hands knowing that they had all of this on the back burner just waiting.
They're like, all right, PlayStation, you guys had a good one. Next year, we're going to be a million times better than you guys.
Yeah, the gloves are off.
They were just sitting at the back of the room going, hold, wait for it.
Right, just bite your tongues, guys. Don't.
Don't bite.
And I mean, I know everyone gave, like, after Scorpio was revealed with the specs on that, they're like, underpowered compared to that. But that just shows that Sony and Microsoft developed those two consoles in a vacuum. They were not looking at what each other was doing. I would not be surprised if in a year or so or something, we see a version of the PlayStation 4 as a response, because the Pro is...
Yeah.
I can't imagine what strings and what planning and shit that Sony's going to have to do to outdo this.
Oh,
They're basically going to have to release a PC.
Pretty much.
Like, we are pushing
what?
Like beyond PC quality graphics and power coming from a console that's smaller than my 360.
Yeah.
Like, it's
just about...
I mean, but they're going to have to do something. Otherwise, they're going to fall behind. They're going to lose the lead that they did have originally.
Well, they already are.
Sony
Sony has a proprietary software called Blu-ray. Guess what you can't use on the PlayStation 4? Blu-ray. Guess what comes available right out of the box with the Xbox One X?
Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Sony's dropping their
Blu-ray player in there, and you're not even fully utilizing your own proprietary hardware.
Yeah.
It's not even fully utilizing. They're not doing it at all.
Like,
I know. I
has the ability. They just didn't flip the switch, which doesn't make any sense.
It's just so odd.
Like, are they waiting for like a software patch to do that? They're like, oh shit, this is what we need. Push out the patch. Push it out.
They literally
flip that switch.
They literally got rid of the one thing. They basically, I mean, they didn't actually get rid of it, but like, they essentially got rid of the one thing that made the PS2 big. Now, I know it's not. I know it's more than that. Like, Blu-ray and DVD is completely different, but the reason why PS2 sold so much, part of the reason is because it had a DVD player. No other system had that. PS4, it takes away the one thing that could have maybe like gave them a slight edge on Xbox. Even then, Xbox One is Blu-ray, but like they could have at least matched each other in sales through a Blu-ray player.
Yeah, and all they had to do was turn it on.
Yeah,
like, it's because I remember watching an episode of The Patch, and that came up. They were talking about the PS4 Pro and its capabilities, its teraflops and storage and all of that. And they got to the point where I think it was Ryan and Ashley were going back and forth about the Blu-ray, and Ryan just wasn't quite understanding why it was there but not there. And it's literally one patch away from being opened. Like, why would you block?
It's like you've got Blu-ray, but you don't have the support for the 4K Blu-ray. It's like, why would you cut that out?
Yeah.
It's go all in.
Or go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, the capability is there. Why not?
And between that, the lack of backwards compatibility, it's third party.
Well, the lack of backwards compatibility is probably because Sony did drop all that money recently. It's not recent. It's been a few years, I believe. But they bought that service called Gaikai, which is now PlayStation Now. So they bought that streaming service.
Oh yeah, so they sank a bunch of money and R&D into that.
Yeah, so they kind of already set sail with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that might be a leg up on Xbox because you've got basically streaming TV, but you don't need that on the Xbox One X because you've got Blu-ray, you've got your video games, you've got things like Crunchyroll and Twitch and Netflix. Like,
I mean, who knows? Microsoft could run into a problem with making all the games that they want backwards compatible, and then who knows from now going, oh wow, they should have invested in that in a service that like Sony has now. They should have built up a service like PlayStation Now. I mean, who knows? The pendulum could swing that way.
Yeah.
There is every chance we could be sitting with our foot in our mouths.
Yeah.
The only fallback I can see coming from putting so much effort into the backwards compatibility is basically the fanboys getting upset that their game hasn't made it yet.
Oh, of course. There's always going to be a group that
everyone's going to have that. Like,
there are a ton of games though. Like Sony made a ton of games from their PlayStation 1 that you can digitally buy and download on the PlayStation 3. They're not all there, okay? Like, it's a lot of the super popular ones that showed up on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they needed to have enough of a following for that.
Right.
Not every single developer who worked to put that game there wants to invest the time and money in that either.
But when
part of the reason why I think Xbox,
like the Microsoft fanboys who are all about the Xbox and all about the classic experiences, I mean, Microsoft knew exactly where they needed to target the market, and they did it. They definitely nailed the nail on the head with this.
It looks like they've been listening, and they've been seeing all these comments, questions, and concerns coming in, be able to answer them.
They're paying attention.
Very much so.
Yep, that's part of the reason why I think they did the backwards compatibility is because the Xbox games have such a big following. Like Halo is humongous. Even with it falling off now with the recent games, it's still huge. They have so many great titles that you can't play on PlayStation, and they had even more back then. So, like, they had nowadays you can buy just about every game you can for the PlayStation 4, and it'll be on Xbox too. But back then they had all kinds of exclusive titles. Almost more than PlayStation.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, T-Rex.
Yeah.
Okay. Just that's the really, really impressive thing that I found about the Microsoft one was that they have such big titles under their belt, like the Halo and Gears of War and everything. But they didn't even have to sink to just churning out another one of those to take this E3 by storm. They came out with a whole bunch of new things, and it was fantastic. That was the great thing. There's so many. They're branching out and not just focusing on the same titles.
Yeah.
That's one thing that it was like the pre-show or whatever. The IGN was talking and just rambling on, and they said that Microsoft said, "Don't expect Halo at E3." And by the end of Microsoft's press conference, I'd completely forgotten that Halo was even a concern.
It didn't matter.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, they do that too, right?
All the fanboys.
It was like originally going into it, everyone's like, "Where's Halo 6? Where's Halo 6?" And it's kind of like,
I don't even care about Halo 6 now. I'm excited about Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yeah.
They were just like, trust us, you're not going to care.
Or
let's since you brought it up, let's talk about Assassin's Creed Origin.
Holy fuck, it looks cool.
So beautiful.
I haven't.
It looks amazing.
I've heard that really good things about it so far from the
You
conference.
I mean, look up the gameplay that they released at E3 because it definitely revitalized the franchise, and like was being said earlier, it almost looks like a brand new IP. The only thing that gave it away was the white hood.
It's literally an IP refresh. It's at the mechanics.
That was a shot of adrenaline right into the chest of the franchise.
And it was needed. They needed to do it, and they fucking timed it beautifully.
What about the other one? I mean, what's the other one?
The fucking Syndicate.
Syndicate was good. Like, it was a lot of fun. I still play it from time to time, but like, I haven't actually beaten it yet, so
it's almost like what they with this. I might be assuming a little bit. Like, they're taking like aspects from all the people enjoyed from the previous Assassin's Creeds and just going forward with them and just wiping out and getting rid of whatever we didn't like.
Yep.
With the franchise.
I mean, you're going to use a bird to look around and spot things instead of having to climb some giant, obscenely difficult tower and then jumping off of it
to
just
be honest,
to get your map layout.
You're in ancient Egypt. They're really not going to have that many of those towers around, and there's only so much you'll be getting. Like, what are you going to do? Climb up the 3 pyramids and the Sphinx? I mean, by the way, I would love it if there is some sort of a cinematic in there, and you see that because of the actions of this assassin, it's missing.
Oh, that'd be great. Hilarious.
They need to have
that'd be fucking good.
Be a great little, like, quick little comedic thing that they could just throw in there. Just like Syndicate had thrown in there with their DLC that you're going against Jack the Ripper, who is an assassin who went crazy. It's like that nice little twist.
It's like a little bit of flavor of reality, but they keep it just enough where they
it injects some reality that actually is historical, but with like a nice little twist to it to make it entertaining for the platform that it's on.
Yeah.
So
because I think the last Assassin's Creed that I played was Black Flag, and it just seemed so far from the Assassin's Creed that I played.
Yeah, that's
before.
what I thought too when I played it.
It's almost like they were grabbing at straws, trying to get on that Pirates of the Caribbean bandwagon to keep their franchise alive.
Little bit.
I'm of the opposite because Black Flag was the first Assassin's Creed I played.
Oh,
I got
really?
an Xbox One. I got an Xbox One. Like, I bought an Xbox One because I was cleaning out the layaways with my friend, and there was a canceled layaway for an Xbox One Day One edition. So I bought that, and I was like, well, what games are there? Because I'm not keeping this. I didn't just buy a console, and I'm not gonna buy a game for it right now. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you know what? Assassin's Creed looks great. Partially, the box art with the pirates sold me. So,
I will give them that. They did a good job with selling that game. But once you got into it, if you were a real Assassin's Creed fanboy, which I played the crap out of the first one, played a little bit of the second one, and then kind of fell off, came back at Black Flag. To the true Assassin's Creed fanboys, Black Flag had to be just terrible to play through. I mean, it had the same aspects, the assassinations and all that, but
90% of the game was
on a ship.
boat. Yeah.
It was an attempt to step in a different direction for the series. It was like saying, we're going with different time periods. You are going to experience different things.
True.
Yeah.
You can't fool. I mean, the one thing is, at least Ubisoft did try something different, so it wasn't like completely repetitive like previous ones. Because that was one of the problems I heard with the very first Assassin's Creed, and I believe Assassin's Creed 2, that they got a little bit repetitive.
It was pretty much the same game from what I remember.
Little.
It was. I mean, you were the enemies were different, but it was the same, almost the same environments, kind of the same feel. There really weren't any new mechanics.
There was a clear formula.
That's why 3 was. That's what made 3 good though, because they completely changed from having that ancient whatever city they were in to straight up revolutionary war. And
man, I wish I would have played 3.
I mean, I've heard like people gave Assassin's Creed 3 crap, but it's like overall the concept of it sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
That you're part of the Assassin's Brotherhood and you're helping the American Revolution, and you've got oh my god, I'm blanking on the bad guys now all of a sudden.
Templars.
It was England.
Who are essentially well, I just meant the Templars in general, just are essentially like the ones pulling the strings on the opposite side.
Oh, like the unseen forces behind the entire conflict.
Yep.
The Templars were always all about controlling everything, and at that time, being involved in the government of Great Britain would have been a strategic advantage, considering how global Britain was. Britain had like a lot of stuff at that point.
Well, they still do. I mean,
yeah,
the phrase is correct. Where the sun never sets on the British Empire, that's geographically correct. Like, they've got ownership of countries everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the Commonwealth is still alive and well.
Oh yeah.
The U.S. and Great Britain are pretty much the heads of the UN. So like, you got what like they own half the countries, and if it wasn't for Great Britain, we wouldn't have Australia or half the other English-speaking nations that I can't think of right now.
If it was also it wasn't also for Great Britain, because they also contributed to like opening up the East to us. I mean, they literally, I believe, were among the ships that basically just sat in the bay and pointed cannons at Japan and like, look, you guys are gonna open up to us, and so we can trade, or else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't agree. I don't agree with it, but like that's maybe not the best way to go about it.
Right.
But I mean,
let's stray.
If they didn't do that, we might not have like of goods and stuff that we have from Asia today.
Well, I think we're off on a tangent now.
Yeah, definitely.
Now we are.
So another game, and I'm not much of a car guy at all. But the fact that they not only revealed, is it supposed to be pronounced Forza? I don't see a T
Forza?
in the title.
Is it Forza?
I think it's Forza.
Oh my God, there's so many debates I've heard about this. I believe it's it's technically pronounced Forza, even though there isn't it in there. But I could also be wrong.
I think I've just been saying it wrong my entire life. And
I
it's
don't even know.
Forza.
I've always said Forza.
But not only did they reveal the new Forza game, which looks amazing, they've also announced that they have a 6-year licensing contract with Porsche, which is one of the big brands that they've been trying to get on board ever since the first one. And Porsche was generous enough to reveal their new Porsche 911 on stage at E3.
Holy shit.
Microsoft already have a big enough reveal with everything they were pulling out. They had the first world glimpse of the 2018 Porsche 911 right there on stage at E3.
Wow.
They did not pull any punches this year. So we've got Forza. Looks beautiful. Like I said, I'm not a driving game guy. It's just
no, but I mean I can appreciate that. And speaking of driving games, I mean I saw some gameplay of the new Need for Speed, and that also looked
fun.
The lineup of the cars that they have and what car makers they may have deals with. But I mean that also looked like a very beautiful game. I mean, if anything, at least the cars looked good in them, as they should.
Like Fast and the Furious meets Burnout.
Yeah, it essentially looked like a newer Burnout, which is why I think personally I would love it.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm curious about for the Need for Speed is how much of the trailer they revealed is like scripted cinematic and how much was actually gameplay.
Yeah. That looked ridiculous.
That's a mixed thing with the E3. You never really know what that the mixture is.
Especially since like the flashes of gameplay you can get are very much montages that are just like 2-second clips, so you don't know what you're getting in that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hopefully the industry has everyone else has learned from No Man's Sky, because that game
that game flopped.
They like, oh man, they set expectations to like the stars and beyond, and what they delivered on was not at all.
And then they realized their mistake and tried to fix it, but it was too little too late. They'd already done way more damage than could be repaired.
Yeah, they've done like patches and everything and updates to the game that have made it more like what they promised. But because the event itself was so huge, people are not going to forgive and forget that.
Yeah, people
it was tainted.
Literally, I think any developer is like might be like shooting bullets like, we do not want to be the next No Man's Sky. I have that feeling. I just have that feeling like just.
It's become a thing now.
Yeah.
The Steam community alone. I mean, that's only a small portion of the internet. The Steam community alone tarnished the name of that company, not just the game, but
people freaked out.
It's you cannot ever build expectations like that and let them fall flat without some kind of fallout. I mean, Ark really pushed the limits when they tried to do pre-release DLC. Not tried to do, but did. There's a lot of people that walked away from the game because, well, you're in pre-release, but you're going to make me buy DLC to play it. One thing in their defense I will say is that being an Ark player, I have seen that sales money being put to use in the game. They're really polishing it up. The UI looks completely different from when I started. So it may have been a mistake at first, but nowhere near as grave of one as they made with No Man's Sky.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what that developer's like follow-up title is going to be. Like, are they even going to try again after that?
I don't know. At this point, it might be rebranding themselves and maybe changing up who's in charge, so
it's either
that doesn't happen again.
It's either going to be a rebrand or they're going to straight up get bought out. Like, not another company may come in and say, "Hey, I want you. That game looked great. I want a similar thing from you, but like not quite that bad, but
yeah, they're gonna have
no way I ever
to.
see them making another game.
They're gonna have
That's about
to rebrand or just hang their hats up. Because
Yeah, like-
I mean, I
company as a
don't. I
whole-
definitely don't want. I definitely don't want anything bad to permanently happen because the actual people who worked on the game, I mean, they shouldn't be the over delivery of what the people above them gave. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the PR department.
they
that
really
dropped
shouldn't
the
be
ball on that one.
penalized.
The game looked great too, so like they spent a lot of money in making that game.
Yeah, I mean,
Like I've never seen.
there is a
better
lot of
looking
talented
game
like
than that.
people work on making games and hours upon hours doing it.
Yeah.
So
Based on the graphics
I mean,
and everything, you can tell that this was slated to be, you know, if not a AAA title, then at least a AA title. Like it was going to be great, but their public relations department just made way too many promises that the developers either didn't have time to keep or didn't have the ability and manpower to keep.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now
Well, I also believe they
everyone
also
in company
the problem
suffers.
with their head developer. I think they were the ones where their head developer was also the one doing a lot of their PR, and you can't put a developer in front of the camera
And if,
doing
No.
that.
if you think about it, that's
Going to just they're excited. They're just excited that people are interested in what they're making, and
And
if you
that's an
sell it.
immediate foot and mouth situation there is
Yeah.
because you've
Yeah.
got a developer is going to get up there and he's going to speak about his aspirations on what he wants the game to be. The public is going to take those aspirations as promises.
yeah, they're going to be like, oh, this is what he would like. Oh no, that they're going to take that as this is what you're going to deliver on when I buy this game on release.
Yep.
And
So-
it had none of it. I mean, you could
Yep.
you could go to other planets and you could space travel, but you
That
could
was- that was
all you
could do.
friends like that one right there. The
You couldn't build
multiplayer
anything,
aspect
you
not
couldn't-
being
yeah.
there.
Like even there was a story when the game was released. Some kids were playing it. They managed to get to the same spot in the game, and they were playing online, but they could not see each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
No ships, no nothing.
Nope.
But
all.
before we go too far off from E3, good discussion about No Man's Sky, by the way. Though I've been wanting to talk about that, but never really had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's see what other titles we've got.
Battlefront 2.
Oh,
Holy
Battlefront
shit!
Yes.
fucking 2.
Battlefront 2
It
looked
looks
great.
ridiculous.
And I have to say I'm impressed that they're putting their money where their mouth is and saying that this game will help bridge the gap to what happened during the 30
Oh, yeah.
years between episode 6 and episode 7. I mean,
you
And-
are playing the filler.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
Rebels
it's
did that,
yet
but
it's yet another example of Microsoft listening to their fucking fan base and being like, okay, here's everything that went wrong with Battlefront 1, and here's exactly what we're doing to fix it in Battlefront 2.
well, that's
Well,
not just that's also not just Microsoft. That's
that's
essentially
EA,
Disney and the Star Wars property.
Disney,
too.
EA,
Yeah,
DICE, all of them.
It's
Like, that
it's
was
that collaboration of all of those entities. Like people love Star Wars. Deliver on a Star Wars game that will blow them away. And I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
and
This
it
game is
definitely
slated to
looks
be-
like very
all DLC
interesting.
From what I saw, this game is
DLC
slated
free,
to be the next
the
Knights of the Old
subscriptions are
Republic.
free. Like it's just they got away from that the money grubbing shit that everybody was complaining about in the prior versions.
Yes.
It's like, you know what? Doors are wide open. If you own Battlefront 2, here you go. Here's
You
this.
will get the Battlefront
gonna
2
give you-
content.
Everything. You're gonna get a perfect, or almost perfect remake of the second game that was so popular that everyone adores. The first
Wow.
one didn't do that at all. You couldn't even play. You couldn't play the Clone Wars. You couldn't. You only had a select number of planets that you can go to. You only had a certain number of, or like, yeah, you couldn't. you couldn't go to Tatooine. You couldn't go to. Well, you could go to Tatooine technically, but you couldn't fight in Mos Eisley. You couldn't fight in Dagobah. You couldn't fight in a bunch of places.
Really blow me away though is if this is the Battlefront, because I know people wanted in the first one that had come out. If this is the one where you have people on the ground have like a space battle come down to where everyone else
From
is.
the look of it, if it's not to that degree, I mean, if I was to compare Battlefront to any title out there right now, I'm going to say Battlefield, God, what would it have been, 3? Where you're going to have your ground troops, you're going to have your heavy armor, you're going to have your specialist classes, you're going to have your fighters in the air, dog fighting. Like, it is an all-encompassing, all-around battle. It just looks so spectacular.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what they hope for with the first one. With the original Battlefront, that's not the original, but like EA's first Battlefront, that's what they were hoping for. But it did not quite deliver on some of the bigger aspects of what made the first two great. They straight up promised that, hey, if you like the first one, you're going to like this one.
And the sheer fact that it's running on the Frostbite engine. Oh, Frostbite has done nothing but great things.
Bonus points.
Yeah.
Frostbite, I mean, I'm not familiar with Frostbite, but from what I've heard, Frostbite is up there with like one of the really good game engines
it's
to use.
It basically compares to what the Unreal Engine was back in the day.
The Unreal Engine's still ridiculous, but
Frostbite
it's still fantastic.
Ace in the hole. Oh yeah, for sure.
So since we did bring up Unreal Engine, and we've been talking about a lot of big titles, I want to bring up a title that I'm excited for. That's a bit more, I guess, kind of on the indie. Bloodstained: Ritual of Ruined, which is essentially a spiritual successor to Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And that is running using, I don't know if you guys got to see that, but the latest trailer looked really good. They showed off their cathedral section, which pretty much every Castlevania has, and they showed off a ton of weapons, one of them being a whip.
Mm-hmm.
Koji Igarashi, he's now in charge of his studio. He was the one who started off, I believe, with Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and then was pretty much running the show for every Castlevania after that, until essentially what Konami wanted.
Ooh, looks like Sony's about to start.
So, the one thing I wanted to bring up too is Borderlands 3. What do you guys think? Like, do you think they're gonna release that or do you think they're gonna give us more information during E3? And what are your expectations for the next few weeks of E3 or next few days of E3, not weeks?
I expect Sony to step their game up. If Sony doesn't reveal something mind-blowing tonight, they lose. Period.
Yeah. But I have to say, if they lose this E3 though, got to come hard next year.
Yeah.
Not even next year. They're gonna have to come hard to like Gamescom and things like that are still coming up.
Or like, they better not. And I mean, I know they have their own little. It's not little. I mean, it's pretty big. They have their own expo. They cannot keep everything, like all the cards in their hand, tucked so close to their chest that they save them just for that.
Yeah,
because E3 is pretty much the big shared industry one. Like,
this is the big show.
This is the major leagues where you're coming in and you've got all the other major league teams there showing off their best of the best.
Yep.
Do anything like that. I know they have their own expo. Then
Everyone has their
then
own
show
expo,
off your
but
stuff. Then show off your stuff. But
Bring
then
the big
for your
guns.
own personal,
Yeah.
bring your big gun
At least
and
reveal
then
one or
show
two
it,
major
do
titles.
a reveal, and then show maybe even more of that at your own expo.
yeah,
So, but at least you need to show something.
E3
And-
is the pinnacle
To
of
go
all
big.
expos, and if you don't show up at E3, if you don't do anything at E3, that's basically it for that year. Like,
Yeah.
I know some companies like to wait a little bit before they go out and like reveal the next big game, but E3 is when everybody reveals their game, and people are going to watch E3. And if you don't reveal something, people are going to be like, "Where were these guys? Why didn't these guys show up?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and on that note of revealing new things, I'm quite excited for the Nintendo one because like the Switch has been so good. I'm sitting with mine like right next to me, and it's been fantastic for me so far. The only problem is, and it's running along the similar vein as what happened with the Wii U. There isn't a massive library yet, and that's exactly what I'm hoping for the E3 is similar to Microsoft announcing a ton of games. Basically,
I heard
Skyrim
What I saw-
is coming
I mean,
to
I'm
the
not-
Switch.
Skyrim is coming to the
I'm not
Switch.
really too impressed with Skyrim. I mean, just personally. I mean,
I love the game.
I think there's other. I mean, I loved Skyrim when it came out, but I mean,
Well,
it's
'cause
just
I never played any of the other Elder Scrolls titles, Oblivion, Morrowind, and all those.
didn't either.
Never touched them. I grabbed the controller and I popped in Skyrim, and there went a year and a half of my life. Like no
Honestly,
joke, I've put so many hours into Skyrim. I've got so many different save files with different characters and statuses. I have to stay away from that game in order to enjoy other games. Because if I start getting into it, I've got at least 100+ hours on my main save, and I have not touched the main story campaign from the point that it lets you free roam.
Well, to be totally honest, I spend so much more time in Oblivion than I did in Skyrim because Oblivion hooked me right from the start, and I can't actually even describe what it is, but when I've chucked in Skyrim, it just didn't hit me at the start like Oblivion did.
Yeah.
Skyrim, I mean, that's understandable.
Skyrim did kind of have a slow, like a slow intro. When you first play it, like, oh, you have this long intro where you're being dragged down into the village, and you have to deal with
Skyrim,
can't actually do anything until you get out of that final place, that final.
I mean, Skyrim does have does get the demerit that they really can't compete with the fact that Oblivion had Patrick Stewart.
Yeah,
well, he makes everything better
Patrick
anyway.
Stewart. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of got off topic there. Back to Nintendo. I saw a game I was watching for a little bit on IGN, I think, and I saw a game that was, it was right before Ubisoft's press conference, and they were showing this new Mario RPG that I wanted to touch on a little bit. That looked
Odyssey?
Ridiculous. It might be. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's like their spiritual successor coming up from Mario 64 and Sunshine.
Yeah, Mario Odyssey is the next big Mario game to come out.
But like from what I saw, it was another turn-based RPG. What we saw, it's forever ago. I don't remember what the game. It was Mario RPG, I think, straight up. And
really,
it's from what I saw, it's another turn-based RPG. And there was a situation, like from what I saw, like maybe 5 minutes of it. And you had Mario, he was shooting stuff. You had Luigi next to him, and he was trying to shoot the bad guys. And it was switching between characters, and it was like it worked like every other turn-based team RPG, like Fire Emblem or something.
All right, well that's not Odyssey then.
It's Odyssey looks great, but it could be. I have no idea, but
I'd be stunned if they're like merged effectively a Mario 64 title with a turn-based RPG, like on the vein of Paper Mario. That'd be a really strange twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
But
they
I
would
mean,
bring something back
Nintendo has
in the
done
domain
that.
of Mario 64, they'd have me, because Mario 64, I played the crap out of that. But
They
the
remastered that.
N64 itself was revolutionary at the time.
Greatest system
Had
ever
so
made.
many great titles. They really got to pull it together, because Nintendo lost me a long time ago.
Yeah.
The only thing that keeps me around
And
Nintendo
it
is
just
Pokemon.
baffles-
Otherwise, I don't touch them.
I mean, like I never really had a Nintendo console like any of the NESs or the SNES, but like I always remember like when Nintendo always announced big things, like you had your Mario, you had your Zelda, and you had your Metroid. Like those were like the trifecta. It's still surprised me to this day. It's like, really, no Metroid at all?
Yeah, well, they tried to do Metroid with that 3DS title, but that did not work out.
So
No.
yeah, I think what they really, I think, really good for a Metroid game would be doing like another like 2D side scroller one, the Metroidvania on the Game Boy Advance.
Well, yeah, I
Because
could see
those
that.
I think were really good, and that would, I think that would work for the Switch as well, because you would want to play while you're on the go with the console.
Yeah.
But it's also something that you could also play by just plugging in the damn Pro controller using the Joy-Cons as well.
Yeah.
And considering
playing on the
considering the capabilities of the Switch, like because it works with a touchscreen, if you wanted to combine the 2D side-scroller Metroid with touch capabilities for different like mechanics, that could be a really cool improvement to the Metroid franchise.
Yeah, that could
I mean,
probably revive the
you're looking at like a side scroller.
Yep.
So I mean, I would love to see them potentially with Metroid, because I think it's a franchise. It's a franchise that is loved by its fans, and
it still has
hasn't
so
really
much potential.
Much attention.
Yep.
And
the only
the
thing stopping it from its
the
potential
Unreal Engine brings me to a point that Phantom made there in chat, is that the Unreal Engine 4 does hold the title for the best graphics engine out there.
Yep.
So Frostbite's got to be a close second.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, as far as I know, basically it's the big ones that I know of are Unreal, and the I believe the Crisis engine or whatever. The three big boys really on the block with engines. So
yeah, definitely.
And I mean, like I believe there are other developers who used to use who had in-house engines, and some of them are adopting some of those a variation of those engines. The engine, from what I've seen and heard, you can do a lot with it. You can do a lot of tweaking with it to get it to do what you want to do, and it will hold up.
Yep. Well, I mean, look at Borderlands. They used Unreal Engine for all their games, and all the games look spectacular. Even back on the 360, when it was only 720, it looked great because
also you also have to take in consideration Borderlands went with a more stylized look, and those usually will hold up better as time goes by than when you go with the I'm going to design my game where everyone looks ultra as close to realistic as possible, because
straight up
eventually
realism in 3D modeling.
Yep.
they go so far that you hit the uncanny valley and then it just looks weird, or when you get the jump
I'm gonna
from
jump in here real quick and say that if anybody that is watching, or if any of you guys want to tune in, the PlayStation E3 conference has just begun. I'll be watching it on IGN, trying to keep the volume a little low, because you guys kind of went off into franchises that I didn't have a lot of experience in, at least with the exception of when I was younger. So I just kind of took a back seat.
I mean, each one of us has gotten a little bit a different viewing of basically helping fill in each other. So, I mean,
I was more of the Zelda, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, like the role play and first-person shooter.
Yep, that was too.
Yeah, I'm huge on the Zelda as well.
It's hard to keep track of everything because all of the big video game companies doing it, it's like literally like standing in the middle of an intersection and traffic is coming at you at like every direction.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like the freaking Arc de Triomphe for here.
Like,
and of course
why? Like when E3 is covered, they literally send like one person would be like, "You're covering Sony. Oh, while Sony's going on, you cover Ubisoft. You cover Bethesda." Like it is practically impossible for one person to catch every single piece of awesomeness that is going on in this industry.
All right, so we're approaching the end of the stream here, or video, or our time constraint.
Yeah.
God, we even barely touched the surface. Next week we're going to talk a lot about everything. But are there any final points that each of you individually would like to make on what you've seen? We'll start with you, Rose. Any final thoughts?
Well, I just love the fact, my favorite thing that came out of here, that came out of E3, is Microsoft. Like, by far the best. I know it still has a bunch to go. So far, like, you have yet to you could see so many other things, but Minecraft is getting 4K cross-platform with a bunch of games, with a bunch of consoles. You got, or it's even adding servers to Minecraft. You're getting backwards compatibility for original Xbox games, so we're gonna get to play Halo and Star Wars: Knights of the Republic on Xbox One. So it's
it's a lot to look forward to from
so much
Microsoft.
Oh yeah.
All right, Terriax, any final thoughts or anything you'd like to touch on real quick?
Well, again, I'd like to say, Microsoft clear leading horse at the moment, and AC Origins looks great. I did want to touch on Life is Strange Before the Storm, because I know the original was very divisive, but because I enjoy like storytelling and writing, I'm on the side that it was a really good title, apart from the whole 2-option ending that pissed me off. But the thing that I wanted to touch on with Before the Storm is the fact that since it's a prequel, and one of the biggest selling points of the original game was the time travel element, I'm wondering how they're going to actually implement that into a prequel, because that character isn't even there yet. Is it literally just going to be a slice of life thing, or is there a bunch of shit that we don't even know about? Are they going to retcon? I don't know. But it's just going to be a very interesting direction that the series is going to take. So I'm going to be paying close attention to that title, but I have no idea where it's going to go.
Right on. All right, Weapon, final thoughts?
I mean, from what I've heard from you guys, Microsoft had a very good day. I mean, I would not declare them yet because E3 is still going on. I mean, Sony still has their their press conference to do. So I believe by next week we'll be able to cast final judgments on basically one E3. But I mean, from what I've seen, there's a lot of good stuff that's in development for gamers. I mean, Assassin's Creed Origins. I mean, like I'm looking forward to that game. I want to buy it and I want to play it. I just want to. I really just want to run around in ancient Egypt.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Awesome.
Mhm.
It just looks like a great environment that you can have a lot of fun in.
I guess in summary, the 2017, regardless of who ends up coming out on top, is going to be an amazing year for gamers, and I cannot wait to see what all of these game developers and console developers and PC game designers and everything are going to have to offer us in the days to come and the months to come. This is
Yes,
absolutely
the year of the
Mhm.
gamer.
definitely the gamers at the end of the day are
Yeah, most
they're
definitely.
gonna win either way.
Yeah.
yes, and that's what we all want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, to those watching on Twitch, thank you for sticking around. We should have a post show where we're just going to discuss a little bit of everything. We're going to bring everyone who wants to participate in. So make sure to stick around for the post stream. For those of you watching on YouTube, if you enjoyed what you saw here, be sure to drop a like. If you want, subscribe to to be updated whenever we release more content. Drop comments. Let us know what you thought about what you've seen at E3 so far. What you expect to see, whether you think PlayStation's going to be able to glove up and stand toe to toe with Microsoft. But with that said, we love you guys. Thanks for sticking it out.
Check
and we'll
us
see
all
you guys
out
next
too.
week.
Don't forget all that stuff.